Gentlemen, and we're Bitcoining, and this is the 4-hour time frame, Bitcoin versus Tether on Poly. And as you're probably aware, there's been some excitement. So we did call the possibility of an inverted head and shoulders over here some time back in our lovely Bitcoin base camp. And we said, look, you know, it's a potential reversal. We're not reversal fans. We have had a first setup in a new trend, but there could be something brewing over here, and we could be going downside. I mean, my apologies, we could be reversing upside. Here's the chart after a major sell-off, and we were pointing at this, and we were suggesting that would take you up to the target level over there. We note how nicely this had touched on an interim level. There's your left shoulder, head, and right shoulder, and we said this could be reversal. We're not huge reversal fans, but they occasionally happen. And this is a threat of that potentially happening, and a threat, in this case, an opportunity for reversing to long side. So we're at the 2080 levels, key level of significance. Also happened to be our interim on this downside target as well, and it was pointing back up to these levels. So if we just go back to that Bitcoin Tether over here, well, that's not the one I want to show you. That was then, this is now. That was the target it gave, and that brought it back through that interim level, just through by roughly the same amount. So there was an interesting geometry here with that level and us getting a neckline a little bit higher and targeting a little bit higher. We then went into an HVF setup, and that's fascinating in of itself. So let's just zoom it in. High one, gradual grind line under this. So this is called a descending breakaway grind line. You'll learn about grind lines on an HVF. You could have seen all of this taking place in our opinions in Basecamp if you are on the Trading Metamorphosis program. But what did we then say? Up, 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 and then note how it sat and it funneled on this beautiful round number that also happened to be the target. Key levels of significance. You'll learn about key levels of significance, how and why we use them, and how you keep getting these inverted comma coincidences. Now, this area that I didn't highlight to you from before was the downside funnel of a down break. So we were winding up to get through these three lines levels. So we wounded, we made the target, we had a short pullback, and then we popped through out the other side on the stop. So this was an HVF, it was impulsive, it's overperformed, and most importantly, it's taken you through the funnel level on the downside. So this undoes the first inverted HVF bearishness where there could be further overperformance. And in fact, what you actually have is you have an even bigger, listen to me now, even bigger inverted HVF, inverted head and shoulders. Sorry guys, confusing people. Inverted head and shoulders that can trigger to the upside as well. So watch me as I draw it. You have an upside HVF. This regularly occurs. We get HVF method in the shoulders of this. Here's that target of the original one, and it is your neckline on the new one. We take the round number. We don't fret and fickle about trying to grab the absolute high. Although that said, it did have quite a good meet up, and you could possibly argue 2.4 is justifiable. We only do horizontal lines. That would be inch perfect. So that's quite aggressive targets. The 2.320, which was the middle of the funnel line from the break, you know, we did break from here. So I'd prefer personally to have a 2.360 or a 2.320 type neckline, and not try be too aggressive. Anyway, let's take this one. We'll take the law of the round numbers, the highest one that is clearly broken through. We use key levels of significance and order clustering as to the reason why we want it broken through. That wasn't really broken through with any substance, so it's a bit aggressive. So if we target from this low head over here, we want a slight degree of conservatism in this, and you're watching me draw this for you live, and this is what you would get if you're on Basecamp and in the Trading Metamorphosis program. We're going to be doing a session in 15 minutes, in fact, where we'll discuss this and a whole bunch more. So I'm just giving you a quick snippet of what you could get as an insight. That neckline over there, law of round numbers, get out of the way, is a logical point, and that would give you a target somewhere up here at 2.6. Get out of the way, entirely out of the way. 2805 being run. It looks like 2810. And truth be told, we're not extremely far away from that at the moment, but you'd probably have a rest after doing that. I would imagine. You've got above this funnel after running that target. That is quite strong. You could relapse back in to this, and it's like support now. What was previous resistance that had to be wound up to be broken. So you're probably seeing so many lines you're as confused as hell. In fact, we could have been the line I did want to draw, the most aggressive one we decided to take. Let's just get this straight again. Rather than the HVF axis, we could go a little bit further and take it up to the line that was well clearly run, the round number of 2360. So we'll go with that one, 2360, and we'll get a bigger target. So watch me as I get the scaling right on this fella. Come back here, yeah, so here we go. And that is even better, 2890. Now that's very, very close. You may remember 2890. Let's go on the big time frame. We got that one watching. You've got it right there, 2980. So this will make for a very nice chunky high too on the bigger time frame. Note also on this time frame, while we did have a grind line under there that gave away the fact that you'd spill to the bottom here, that this has essentially on a big time frame made an up leg, and there's nothing more than a bit of a bull flag pullback on bigger time frames, with this now being a dominant up leg break of the bull flag. So nipping the two tops there. There's not millions of touches on that, and the two bottoms quite neatly trimmed there. So that could be that. Or we run up to a high that is not quite as high as the all-time high of 2981. We turn down and we form a winding up triangle, giving us further opportunities to buy along the bottom levels. Overall now this is looking bullish again for Bitcoin after it's done its sell-off, but there could be a down leg post this, so there could be quite a bit of news flow in and around Bitcoin, but it is generally looking sturdy. So it's either bull flag break on the daily, which could be setting up a HVF to the upside, or it could just run for it the whole way, or back to our shorter time frame charts. We are in inverted head and shoulders territory, where this is your head, inverted head, and that could be left shoulder, that right shoulder, very symmetrical, and you've got an upside HVF and it's broken properly there, and we would take the round number of 2360 for it. 2400 maybe a touch aggressive, but you could run that, which would give you another $80 on top of the 2888 that you're getting there. So that would take you to 2960. That's very close to that previous high. So that's my take technically on Bitcoin looking chipper. There was the wind up here on the 2320s after trading quite strongly up, and then running into the resistance here, these interims, and over there dipping down, upside HVF for the right shoulder, as you can see there, breaking out nice and impulsively, running target, and then pulling back on there. So we have reversed certainly out of the smaller one, and that gave us a very key line over there that set up the upside HVF, and we can optimize that neckline a little better, and we get a slightly taller target. I'm not going to push too much further than that. So churn a little bit, possibility for pulling back into the support of this funnel level that has now been properly broken before taking the 2880s and giving us a nice secondary high quite close to the previous one. Okay, that's Francis updating on Bitcoin. Bitcoin now appears to have invalidated the downside bear after running and making bear targets to the downside. It's rallied really strongly, so the overperformance potential is no longer there. It just made target to the downside, and that's it. It since seems to have reverted back to bull, assuming we hold and stay above this level, these three lines. That's it. Speak to you again soon. I hope that was useful. I don't nag folk, but just to remind you, it does help me if you like and share this. If you don't, and you don't think it's worthy of it, that's also fine. If you do, you're supporting me and it's appreciated.